Rebecca from ChemKnits, and thank you for joining me today for this really fun dyeing project. Today, I don't know where I put that. Today we are going to be dyeing yarn and roving with highlighters. This is a tutorial that arrived inside the Paradise Fibers Fiber of the Month Club September backpack. It was a backpack instead of a box, and it had a back to school theme, and I was really excited when I saw this tutorial, and I realized this is really in my wheelhouse. I love to do different types of dyeing experiments and live streams, so why not give this a shot live? And therefore I am here today to do this with all of you. Now, we are going to do a couple different things in today's live stream. First, we are going to use the highlighters and draw on 6 different fiber types of yarn and try to steam set that to see how this works across a few different fiber types. Then I'm going to demonstrate how to extract the dye from the highlighters, and finally we'll use that to dye the Cheviot roving that I got from Paradise Fibers. So that's I'm starting with the yarn so that way maybe it'll cool enough so that way we can try rinsing it out on camera while we wait for the roving to absorb all of the color. So good morning everyone, and I'm so glad you were able to join me today. The little instructions that came in the September Fiber of the Month Club has instructions for both dyeing the Cheviot roving and dyeing yarn. There are a few notes that I want to give. One, make sure you have gloves. There were some, I think there were some vinyl gloves included in the kit, but you don't want to get the highlighter stuff all over your hands. It'll likely stain your hands. And the other thing is make sure that all of the cups and tools that you're using is dedicated dye equipment. These highlighters are non-toxic. However, they have not been FDA approved for consumption, so you wouldn't want to mix it with your cooking pots and pans. So all of the utensils and pots and everything that I'm showing today are part of my dedicated dye equipment. And Paradise Fibers mentions that you could use a microwave as one of your heat sources, but if you're going to use a microwave, they say to make sure that it is a non-food microwave. But as an alternative, personally, I like to use a steamer basket on a pot. I find that as like a really easy and convenient dedicated dye setup for non-food safe dyes. So that's my little safety spiel, but let's stand up and get started. I guess we've got some new people who are going to be joining us today. So I've already said that I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, but I actually do have a biochemistry background. I have a PhD in biochemistry, and now I run a series of dyeing videos called Dye Pot Weekly here on the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel. And I release at least 2 new dyeing videos every week, and I love to try new things, and I can't believe that something this much up my wheelhouse arrived in the kit. I should also say that I am an affiliate with Paradise Fibers, so they sent me the kit for free, and so that way I could share it with all of you. But they did not explicitly ask me to do this dyeing live stream today. I was really excited by the product and wanted to do that. But so all of the links that I'm sharing to Paradise Fibers in the chat and the description, those are all affiliate links. And so I just wanted to make that clear. All right, let's make my head go away. Yep, that's the right one. And let's stand on it. Okay, so here, making sure I can see. All right, so here, this is a hotel steam pan that I got from Amazon, and I use it just for dyeing. I like it because I can fit it across 2 burners on my stove, but today when we get to the roving, we're actually going to be using hot water, vinegar, and just leaving it on the counter. And here's a fun little Paradise Fibers chalkboard pin. The tutorial from Paradise Fibers has us suctioning off the fiber and winding it into balls, but I didn't really have 3 different small yet deep containers to do the fiber in. So I think I want to dye the roving as this braid, and I'm going to add the dye into 3 different spots, and so that is my plan. But here is our dye source today. These are just Sharpie highlighters, and yeah, we're going to give this a go. All right, I'm going to set the roving aside and bring up my yarn. Okay, so for the first step, we are going to look at 6 different fiber types of yarn. And so what we need right now is actually really, really simple. We have our 3 highlighters, and actually I'm going to add in a blue one just because I'm curious. But we have our Sharpie highlighters. I have pre-soaked this yarn in tap water with a healthy, hearty splash of white vinegar. Usually, if I'm dyeing with food coloring or acid dyes, you need some kind of acid source to help the color stick. I'm honestly not sure about the mechanism with this, but we put acid in, and I'm going to talk about those yarns in a second. And then the last thing I have these are the vinyl gloves that came in the kit from Paradise Fibers. Yeah, I know. Who knew that you could use highlighters? Okay, actually, I'm not going to put the gloves on quite yet. And then once we get this going, oh, and I guess the last thing that you need here is a heat source. There's many different ways you can do it, but this is just a steamer basket. I've got a multi-pot, and once we've colored the yarn, I'm going to put it all in the steamer basket and then pop it on the steamer for a little while. But other options would be a microwave. What else do they say? You could use the oven. Yeah, they says you can also steam, bake, or use the sun to heat set the dye. It is cloudy and rainy today, so I will not be doing any sun dyeing at the moment. But that is actually a video, not with highlighters, but a video that I need to finish up soon. But if you are interested, so technically to get the September Fiber of the Month Club box, you would have needed to sign up by the 10th of September. I do not know if they have any of this left, but if you sign up for the Fiber of the Month Club, you could always reach out to Paradise Fibers to see if they have any left. The yarn dyeing instruction that is included in the kit has you using the hand-spun Cheviot. But what I've got here is some 100% acrylic, some 100% cotton, 100% polyester, and then we've got our natural fibers. We've got, and I do have them marked with knots, so I will be able to tell them apart in the end. This is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. This is 100% superwash merino, and then a sock yarn that is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So of all of these, this one here is the one that's the closest to the roving that we are about to dye. And there's many, many ways that you could do this. You could dye yarn with some of the dye that we are going to show how to extract from the markers. And at this point, this is really just to keep my hands clean because I'm putting the gloves on. Yes, dissolving in alcohol is, oh no, I just totally put a finger through the glove. Dissolving in alcohol is part of how we extract the color. I do have extra gloves on hand. These are actually pretty nice. Oh, and I protected my work surface with this is just a shower curtain that I got at IKEA. But now I'm going to start with the yellow and literally draw onto the yarn. And I'm not going to go do a lot on each of them because I have a feeling that I've run into this in the past with markers and stuff that eventually they'll start to get wet, and then maybe I should start with the wool. They'll start to get kind of wet and it'll be harder and harder to draw. But this was one of the suggestions in the kit, so I wanted to demonstrate it. Yeah, you can, I don't know if you can see, but the tip of my marker is already getting a little bit white. And that is because the liquid is coming up. So I might have to pull out, I might have to pull out the thing and sort of dot this from the tube. I'm just trying to do a tiny bit of the color, excuse me, on each one. I have a feeling that extracting the color, okay, this is actually working pretty well to sort of really dab it, because I think that that might keep some of the color coming down. I'm expecting this to work on the wools and not so much on these other fiber types. Oh, come on. But it's certainly showing up nicely. I have no idea. Oh, no. Oh, I have my live stream paused. I wasn't up with the, oh, come on. Show me where the light is. Okay. I guess you can see a little bit. But these are 6. Yeah, I would say, so drawing directly on them, it would take a long time if you were using 100 skein, or sorry, 100 grams of yarn. But yeah, we might need to, oh funny, I think I accidentally wiped that away. All right, let's do some of the other colors. I'm more of just curious. Yeah, the orange is a little brighter to see. These are really just little speckles here. Do the cotton over here. Yeah, that orange is looking a lot brighter. Again, I'm not necessarily expecting anything to come in the synthetic ones, but we never know unless we try. So yeah, the drawing doesn't work as well. The tapping is doing really nicely. And I forget, I think each of these is like, you know, just a handful of yards. There's not very much yardage in here at all. Which is handy for me to, I'll take a picture of all this. This is the problem with having this island that I'm working around, is that like I have stuff all around for the various steps. All right, and then the blue. Blue was not one of the colors that was included with the Paradise Fibers kit, but I wanted to buy a second set of the markers to have on hand, and the one that I bought came with the blue. Okay. Let's see about adding potentially, the yellow might be coming back a bit. Not really. What, this was, one was the acrylic. Let me see if I can get any of this color. There we go. There's some around the like base. Yeah, but if I, with the acrylic, if I touch it too much, it like comes back out. So, all right, we have, where is my handy little camera? Oh, good. Some of that shows up for you guys. Yeah, the yellow is really subtle. All right. So we've got our natural fibers and our, there we go. Okay, I am now going to take this, and I'm not caring right now about there being cross-contamination or anything, because this is really more for a proof of concept kind of thing. Okay, and so, you know, as I said, all of this yarn, if you're just joining in, all of this yarn was pre-soaked in tap water with a healthy splash of white vinegar, and I just added on 4 different colors of the highlighter markers. There could be some bleeding throughout the colors, but I'm just placing them in a steamer basket right now. I'm going to put it over a steam pot. I've already warmed the water up. And so this is on the stove behind me, but I am going to turn this on, and I'm going to go ahead and let it steam for 30 minutes. I think that with the microwave technique, it only had you microwaving it for a short period of time, but I figured let's go for it. When I microwave yarn, I'll typically microwave it for a total of 4 minutes in 2-minute increments, or until the yarn is hot. And then it usually stays hot, pretty hot, for about at least half an hour. I find with the steaming, the fibers cool off a bit faster. So there's that. But all I did just now was take, I'm trying to wipe up the surface a bit. But now I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to check the chat and see if there's any questions. But then I'm going to demonstrate how we can extract the dye from these. So that way, rather than trying to draw, you have something that you could then use, maybe a syringe to apply the dye, or you could use a paintbrush or something that would be a little bit easier. Gel pens. I love the phrase proof of concept. Yeah, this is my, sometimes my science training really comes out. Okay, for our extraction, and my blue friend, you're going to sit aside, but maybe I'll grab you in a moment. I want to make sure I'm going to be doing this all on camera. Okay, so we've got our highlighters. I've got some just pliers here, because we'll need the pliers to take these end caps off. I've got some measuring spoons for when we're adding stuff to our cups. Actually, I should start heating up my tap water. And I've got an optional squeeze bottle. But as an alternative, last night I played around using one of these, a little syringe. And you can see this was an infant acetaminophen syringe. But that is obviously now not kid safe. But the real things that you'll need are some kind of vessel. I've got 3 plastic cups. I've got some rubbing alcohol, warm water, the pliers, and the highlighters. And then if you want, you could also have some scissors to cut it, but I will demonstrate this all in just a moment. But I'm going to start, this is the way I did it last night. The instructions say to fill the cups about halfway with warm water, and then the other half with the alcohol. I am doing 1/3 of a cup of warm tap water in each little cup. And I can reduce the heat on my steamer basket. So we're steamy but not loud. Okay, so we've got 1/3 of a cup of warm water in each of these. And then, I guess in the first one, I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/3 of the cup of the rubbing alcohol. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to do 1/3 of a cup of the rubbing alcohol into the squeeze bottle. I don't think it needs to be measured. And without a funnel, I'm making a little bit of a mess, but I like measuring things because it helps. I guess if someone at home wants to try to replicate what I'm doing, having the measurements sometimes helps a little more than the splash. All right, so now I'm going to start with the yellow. We're going to use the pliers to take the end off. And last night, well, I have some samples prepped that I did last night because it could take some hours for everything to get extracted. And I was really nervous and I thought I would film, but it's actually not a big deal. So I'll grip on to one of the little star-shaped pieces. Just grip on and pull. And there we have our two pieces. And in terms of getting the dye part out, it just comes straight out. So what we have here is like a plastic case, and there's something absorbent in the center, and that's just filled with dye. And so if I put it in, so I'm putting this one in the cup that has the alcohol and the water in it. I don't know if you can see that tip already got really white. And the alcohol, I think the dye is soluble in alcohol. And so if I start to squeeze it, there we go. You can see, look at that. Look at that color coming out. And of course now, because I squeezed it, I have dye all over my fingers. So this might be why you might want some paper towels around as well. And I'm going to grab another one. I'm trying to keep the colors separate. But in time, just soaking in there, the color will come out. And I'm going to show one other way that you can try to get the color to come out a little bit faster with the next color. But something else that you can do is you can also cut this up into smaller pieces. All right, let's grab the orange. I'm going to take my pliers, grip the end, and just pull. And again, a lot easier than I thought. I thought I was going to need to take 2 pliers and do something really intense. And then the dye part comes out. And so when I dip it in, there's a little color right away that comes out. But now this one, I have added the alcohol to the bottle. And so look, if I just pour a little on, you see how that just immediately got a little bit white. It's because it's slowly going to push the dye down. And in doing this, I'm not sure if the angle's right, if you can see that it's dripping color out the bottom. And if you look at this, we're getting sort of an ombre. Now you could squeeze it, but I do know from experience that by squeezing it, you will make a mess. But that is part of the fun. And so you could, just slowly keep adding. And, this is a little bit slower, but actually also faster. I'm doing a little better than last night. Last night I tried with a syringe inserting and then just squeezing to try to force. Oh, that's actually working nicely. The squeeze bottle's a little easier than the syringe. Wow, this is actually working way better than what I did last night. But you can see just how much color has come out of here already. And I can even squeeze some down. Wow, I'm getting maybe 3rd or 4th times the charm. So yeah, just sticking the bottle in and squeezing a bit. Oh. Anyway, that's a bit faster. Oh yeah, this might be better. You can see the difference in the color between these two. How I've got most of the orange out at this stage. There's no question. Wow. Yeah. If you have access, and this bottle is just one I had from a tulip tie-dye kit. If you have a bottle, this one legitimately might have gone further than, whoops. than the one that I left in to soak all night last night. So if I had realized that, I wouldn't have needed to prep anything. I've got almost all of the dye out of this, I think. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, you guys, this is like almost completely white now. Oh, and I'm out. Okay, I've used the same amount of alcohol that I put in that yellow one. So I found the squeeze bottle a lot easier than using the syringe. I was able to apply even pressure. But I was going to do this and do a little swap-a-roo for demonstration's sake. The ones that I left in overnight are very pale, but not as white as that one that I just showed. But I am going to finally demonstrate, I guess, this one that I did. All right, let's grab off the pink. All right. Okay, so this one, I'm just gonna, with the other one, I just cut it. And of course, in doing this, I got dye all over my hand. The ones last night I cut into 3 pieces. This one I'm cutting into 4. And yeah, you can see that I got dye all over my hand, all over my scissors. This is why it is worth trying out. Let's see if I can rinse some of that off of me into here. But then, I sort of left it like that overnight to slowly let the colors come out. And I'm going to show you all the 3 that I did last night, sort of in comparison. I mean, even the yellow one has, like, a lot of color is in the water right now. But let me clean up a bit. I figured the instructions said that it could take a few hours, but clearly using a squeeze bottle and just pushing the alcohol through was a way to do it in just minutes. Actually, look at that one. Look at I don't know if you can see there we go. The edges are just white because the dye is coming out. Okay, so these are the 3 samples that I did just now. And here are the 3 that I did last night. And so actually they look pretty close already, pretty similar. But clearly with the pink, if you look at last night, which is this one versus right now, you can see that there's a lot more dye in the center that hasn't come out. And that dye has clearly wicked out there. With the yellow, it's a little hard to say, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm sort of removing these right now. I don't know if I'm putting them where they could still be seen or not. And there's no question that we've got yellow highlighter juice. Okay, I'm going to set aside the ones that we just did. So that way I can make space to start getting ready to dye our roving. Moving our highlighters. If you're just tuning in, today we are dyeing roving and yarn using Sharpie highlighters. This was a tutorial that came as part of the Back to School September Fiber of the Month Club kit from Paradise Fibers. And this was some of the dye extraction today went reasonably well, but I was prepping these last night to be a little like, oh, you know how on the cooking show they do something, they put it in the oven and then they immediately take it out of the oven so that way they can show you. That was my goal. I really should have like a rag or something. But if you're just tuning in, I did start off, and actually I'm going to put this, there's the pink, here's my yellow, and then the orange. The pink and the orange look very, very similar in the cups. It's not, sometimes it is my camera, but today it's not. That is legit. If you're just tuning in, I did, before I started extracting the dye, I did draw on 6 different fiber types of yarn. And I currently have that going in the steamer basket just to see, you know, how this works, because hopefully those will cool off before the end of the stream. So that way we can, dunk it in some water and see where the dyes are sticking and where they are not sticking. But, all right. Let's see if, before I start with the roving, let's see if you guys have any questions. Like a fun science class. Yeah, lots of paper towels. Oh, thank you. There's a comment. I would probably have actually paid attention if she was my chemistry teacher. Yeah, the squeeze bottle, which I did not try last night. I think that's definitely the best method. Wait, how do you turn your phone flash into a black light? So there's a good question. Can we buy one of these kits straight up, or is it only by subscription? I think that you could certainly buy the fiber directly. And honestly, these are just Sharpie highlighters that you can find at any like office supply store. So that is the kit that came. Everything else are things that I had assembled on my own. Like this bottle was from a tulip one-step tie-dye kit. But you can find squeeze bottles sometimes at the dollar store. They had like ketchup squeeze bottles, and those could work fine. But I know craft stores often have little squeeze bottles as well. And the pliers came from our toolkit. So this is actually like really beginner friendly in terms of a lot of the stuff you likely either have around or can find easily. So I don't know if you're going to sign up today. I don't know if Paradise Fibers has any more of the September kit available. But in addition to the highlighters and the roving, there's also 4 ounces of silk that had been combed. And there's a lot of other stuff in the backpack. And where did I put the backpack? I'll grab that after we get this started a bit. So that way I can show you. But the way the official instructions recommend that you dye the roving is they recommend dividing it into 3 parts, sort of winding it into a ball, and then adding it into a container that had hot water and vinegar, and then pouring your dye stock on top of it. I'm going to do it a little differently, and realizing that I just want to put some cork trivets underneath this because I'm going to be adding some hot water. I'm going to do it a little differently because I want to, I don't have 3 containers of equal size that would fit the roving really well, and so I've decided to try to do this a visual way. I have no idea how quickly the dye will strike to the roving at all, but I'm going to basically do some space dyeing very similarly to this. And my plan is to add orange to the center, pink to one side, yellow to one side, and then we will wait. But to start, I need to add some warm water and vinegar to our pot. So before our live stream started, I filled up a tea kettle and I got it to a boil, and then it has been off for about half an hour. And I'm not sure if that's going to be quite enough water, so I'm going to start making a little more hot water. I'd say that there isn't quite a full inch of water in the pot, in the pan. This is one of my favorite pans for dyeing, but at the very least I can get the vinegar mixed in, and we can get some other water is not hot, nice and warm. Okay, and now I'm going to add about a hearty splash of vinegar, I believe. So divide the 4 ounces of Roving into 3 equal pieces, tightly roll each piece in a ball, and set inside dye containers with hot water and a splash of vinegar. So I did 1 tea kettle's worth of water so far, and my splash is going to be 1, 2, let's do 3 tablespoons of white vinegar, which is a hearty splash. And so, okay, this is hot. I didn't burn myself, but it is nice and hot. And so I'm taking, sorry for the sound, guys, I'm just going to stir this up a little bit before I add this Roving gently back in. But I don't think that there's quite enough to cover it. So this will be some fairly low immersion. Actually, I might not need more water. This might be pretty good. I like using a braid to dye Roving. I like the patterns that you get. It gives like a nice variegated, and there's a little bit of resist, and so it is nice and fun. But what I'm doing is gently trying to submerge all of the fiber, and then I'm going to add these dyes to it. But this is nice and hot, and we'll basically be leaving it in here until it cools. But hopefully we might see, I have no idea how quickly the colors will attach, if they will wick through, if they won't, but I think it'll be really fun, and we'll really be able to watch as this happens. So, yay, I'm glad you're able to join. I'm always doing things my own way. Yeah, well, sometimes I try to do things my own way. Sometimes it's just using what I have on hand. But all right, let's add the dye. And let's start with this orange. Adding the orange into that center. It's possible that we could end up with some mud. It could go all the way through, but we won't really know until we try. Oh, that's funny, because that doesn't look very yellowy. It's like there's something coating it. Here's the pink. But man, did you guys see that? The yellow almost like disappeared or something. That was kind of weird. I got 1 dot where it splashed. But adding a little more of the rubbing alcohol to see. Maybe it's the heat. But I'm not, like the yellow, the difference in the color is pretty remarkable. Where is I want to grab a picture of this, and then I'm going to come sit down and chat with all of you. Yeah, with the exception of this 1 little yellow dot, that really did not, like I see a hint of it, but it's almost, that is so weird. That is so weird. Yeah, so I'm curious if we're going to see this slowly like suck through more, if it's going to stay like that. Either way, I think we'll get something really cool. But I am very perplexed by you, yellow. Because this was bright yellow, right? It's not my imagination. Where did you go, yellow? Let's see, if I look at my steam basket, ooh, maybe the yellow doesn't like heat. Because I don't know if I'm seeing my yellow over there anymore. I mean, I see, and this might not be showing up on the live stream, I see like the barest hint of yellow over here. But, okay, this is cool, and this is fun, and I'm loving this patterning that we're getting. All right, let me come over so that way I can chat with you while we wait on this. And now is a good time if you guys have, oh. make myself smaller. There we go. Now is a good time if you guys have any questions, excuse me, so I can try to answer them. Yeah, the orange looks like it's been moving a little bit, like it's going through more and more. The yellow basically disappeared. I'm very curious and excited actually to go back and watch that on the replay and just see did it, like, how it sort of like disappeared in front of our eyes. The yellow must be shy. Yeah. This is one reason, another reason why I decided to do it this way versus doing the ball of yarn. It's possible here that we're going to end up with a lot of white left behind, but I really wanted to see if we had the ball of roving, it'd be hard to know how far the dye was penetrating to the center. And so that's sort of what I wanted to see. I'm so glad all of you could join me today. I know some people are just tuning in. Today we are looking at the Paradise Fibers tutorial from their September Fiber of the Month Club, and that is how to dye roving and yarn with highlighters. So I extracted some dye last night. I just added the roving to hot water with vinegar, poured in some of the extracted dye that was in a mixture of rubbing alcohol and water, and we're now waiting. And I mean, the roving is going to need to wait until it cools. We're going to want to let it cool completely before I take it out and touch it. But we're also seeing, will all the color absorb or not? And what happened to the yellow? So what gave me the idea to try the highlighters? That was all Paradise Fibers. When I unboxed I had heard a rumor that there was going to be a dyeing project in the September Fiber of the Month Club box. And when I opened it up and saw that it was highlighters, I was absolutely delighted. I burst out laughing. I thought that it was brilliant. It fit the theme. It's accessible. Someone asked about just getting the dye kit. Go and grab some highlighters. It's the Sharpie brand highlighters. I can pop. Ooh, you're seeing a yellow. I'll go up and look and see if there's. Are we seeing breaking? All right. I'm not even gonna close the little camera. I'm gonna come up and look. It's hard to know. Someone said that they see a yellow halo around the orange. Maybe. Or it could just be, it's not looking super, super yellow. It's more looking like a little less orange. So that could be the camera. But over here, with the yellow, it looks like something crashed out. What I'm seeing over here is sort of like a transparent pink. The water is cloudy over here. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but the water is definitely cloudy over here. There is some yellow. I am seeing like a butter. Oh, I don't need more water. Sorry for that pitch. I am seeing some yellow come in, and it's going to about here so far, but it's nowhere near as bright as the pink and the orange, and the orange is spreading nicely. The pink doesn't seem to be spreading much, but it could also be spreading a bit underneath. It's always hard to know when we have one of these low immersion setups. Yeah, it looks, I think, a little more on camera like it could be breaking. Right now in person, I'm on the fence. It could be, which would be amazing, but we won't know for a little while. But I agree, on the camera it definitely looks like it's breaking. Yeah, so the idea to try highlighters wasn't mine at all. They showed up on my doorstep, and I thought that I saw this and I was like, clearly this is something that I need to do in a live stream. It's fun, it's different, it's right up my alley. And so, yeah, I really feel like I had a care. I mean, that's the thing I love about the Paradise Fibers Fiber of the Month Club. I feel like that it's a care package directed just to me. or like a good friend wrapped up a present, when I know that they're sending it to a lot of people. And so that's one of the things. And I'm going to drop the link in my affiliate link in the live stream chat right now. There was a question if the yellow was the one that I did with alcohol and water together. All three of these samples basically had the tube of dye in 1/3 of a cup of warm water and 1/3 of a cup of rubbing alcohol. So 2/3 of a cup of liquid. All three of them did. It was just when I added it to this hot water with vinegar, poof, went the yellow. And maybe it's a vinegar thing, because when I was drawing onto the yarn, the orange, pink, and I tried a blue marker, those all sort of stayed really vibrant on the yarn, whereas the yellow sort of was like shrinking. So I'm not entirely sure if it was the vinegar or the heat maybe that did it. So we will have to see. In a little bit, the timer will go off and I'll pull the yarn that I did. I just drew like one line on 6 different mini skeins of yarn. I did, and there's my timer. I did my standard 6. I did my standard 6. I did 100% Peruvian Highland wool, 100% superwash merino. I did 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100% acrylic, 100% polyester, and 100% cotton. And it still definitely needs to cool, but I am pulling it out so that way it can cool a bit faster, and then we can try to rinse it. But at first look, here's the yarn with the, what are you? Piece of dirt. So here's all the wool based, and then the cotton and the acrylic and polyester over here. I see right now the blue, the pink, and the orange are still super bright. The yellow is a lot more muted, kind of like what we're seeing here. So I wonder if it is a vinegar thing, but I'm just going to set this, I guess, up here. We're going to let it cool, and then we'll dunk it in some water and start seeing what happens. So I am definitely seeing some yellow in the fiber, but it's very much a butter color. It doesn't feel like the fluorescent highlighter yellow. And over here, that yellow has almost met up with where the orange is. And I honestly can't say if I'm seeing any, oh good, that's nice and warm. I can't say if I'm seeing any, oh, maybe it's not as warm as I want it to be. I don't know if I'm seeing any breaking. Let's put this back in my glove. And I mean, this has cooled off considerably. I'm a little concerned about the surface area, but the nice thing is I can always take this if we want to add more heat to it. I can pop it on the stove and heat that up. But I am going to just sort of let this sit through the live stream, and maybe we'll learn something when we rinse these guys off. Yeah, I am nice and intrigued. So, ooh, I'll come back down. But yeah, that orange is spread really nicely. Really, really nicely. You bet the yellow will still fluoresce under a black light? Yeah. Oh, someone said that they were turning their phone into a black light. And if you guys want to let me know how to do that, I would love to. Maybe the yellow is a different formula. I mean, it's definitely possible. Like for the different fluorescent colors, they're definitely different, like different compounds. And so they could react and behave differently chemically. You wonder if it might be too diluted for that. Well, I mean, it was definitely really, really bright, and something, when I poured it into the pan, something changed. It, like, you know, was the same I guess if I was going to draw them all on a paper, they seem like similarly intense. On the paper towel and stuff, it seemed really intense. So I am not sure. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad all of you have been able to join. You would add the other yellow. Yeah, I might. I also think that it's something about the yellow. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Now, actually, I wanted to I wanted to grab my September backpack to show you guys what else was in it. I know some of you joined me for the live unboxing, but this really is a delightful little care package. So some of the stuff is all strewn around the house, but there was some information about, can I grab it? It's under my computer. About the type of wool. And the wool has already been scoured, combed, prepped, ready, completely ready for dyeing. There were what drew my eye was the highlighter tutorial. And they actually had the gloves and the highlighters inside this little pencil case. And there's this little Apple Paradise Fibers sheet. I showed the little blackboard pen, and some bubble gum in the pencil case. Let me grab. I like the little blackboard pin as well. So those were just some fun little goodies. And then we had some stuffing which had, some of the paper has like an iridescent tinge on it. And there's always, the Fiber of the Month Club also always comes with a discount. So if you wanted to buy more fiber from Paradise Fibers, I forget exactly what the discount is, because of course that's a piece of paper I do not have right here. Oh, we had some more, we had some pretty chevron tissue paper, and just each month, oh, and the best part, the backpack, which the color isn't coming through. It's really like a true Crayola purple. But instead of the white cardboard box, it came in this backpack, and when I saw it, I was like, I'm not going to schedule this live stream. I have to start it now because I was so excited. Yes, you can see the crud or whatever's crashing out in the left-hand side. But so also in here was 4 different colors, these 4 bags, and they each have 1 ounce of this sari silk. And I think that this month they've also included, I think this one is my favorite, the blue with like hints of hot pink, which actually goes with like the blue and pink highlighter really well. And I think that they have a lesson on how to do a tweed yarn using all of the contents from this package. Oh, thank you. Yes, if you are enjoying this, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel, subscribe. I didn't come up with this idea, but I do come up with a lot of fun and unique and sometimes a little off the cuff ideas. And I love to try things that are new to me on camera, so that way we can all learn from my mistakes. So there's a lot of value in these kits. They start at $34.99 within the continental US. That includes shipping. And there are options that are slightly more expensive if you live in Alaska, Hawaii, Canada, or the UK and EU. So you can find all that information. I've dropped the link in the chat, and I'm going to drop it in again. But each month there's like a different element, and they really, like, the unboxing and the opening up is a true pleasurable experience. And I found that there's always some fiber that is ready to go. You could go and spin it right away. And then there's usually something in there that you could learn to play with, whether it's like neps or locks, and something that could be a little more of a challenge as a spinner, fiber artist. And I think that it's fun. It's just so much fun, and I think it's an excellent value for everything that's included. Yeah, I'm glad that the cloudiness is showing up. Have you tried to do the marble tie-dye on a yarn hank? Not specifically with the tie-dye, I did use a marbling Easter egg dyeing kit and did that both on a sock blank and on yarn. I do have a tulip tie-dye marbling kit in my collection, and that's something that I need to play with still. I have not yet used it, but it is definitely on my list. When you did the highlighter dye, the yellow looks really bright when the lighting isn't so intense and you only used one highlighter. I mean, you know, the lighting is bright in here, and I can definitely see the yellow. And I think that if you look and compare the bare section between the orange and the pink to the yellow side, you can kind of see the hint of yellow there is, but it's definitely nothing compared to the pink and orange. So maybe it's too much vinegar. I don't know. But yeah, I've played, I do a lot with food coloring. I'm also branching out into more commercial dyes. So I do a lot of all of that. But if you enjoy this stream and you're a subscriber and a fan of ChemKnits and you want to support everything that goes on here, there are a few ways that you can do that. Possibly the easiest right now is if at the bottom of the chat you see there's a little $sign. That is for super chat, and it's sort of like a tip jar. So not only can maybe your comment, it'll be highlighted in a special color and it might stay up longer, but it's an easy way to add to the, I guess, the more bare yarn fund. There are also a few other ways that you can support everything that goes on here on the channel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Patreon, but I do have a ChemKnits Patreon. And it's a platform where fans can support the creators that they enjoy. In exchange, you get some really, really cool perks. For example, I offer to all of my patrons early access to a new dyeing video every month. And the patrons will always vote on some kind of theme or topic that will be the focus of the video the following month. Patrons, depending on the level, can also receive an exclusive behind-the-scenes sneak peek as I'm filming a new episode of Dye Pot Weekly. You can get advance notice of when I'm going to do an Etsy restock, coupons, shout outs, and more. There's a link to that in both the video description and the iCard, but I'm going to just add that into the chat. Okay, so that's the Patreon. And then finally, most of the thing, I dye so much yarn now that I can have pretty much a lifetime stash, even with the stuff that I keep for myself. But a lot of the yarn that I dye in my videos does end up in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy store. So you can watch me make the yarn, and then you can buy it, and I will ship it to you. And so then you can, while you're knitting or crocheting or weaving with it, you can watch me dye your specific skein of yarn. And also all helps me continue to do everything that you see here. And I am going to drop that link in the chat as well. So thank you for listening to my little spiel. I feel like like an NPR drive-a-thon there, but wanted to give you all of the info. Yes, it's actually looking a lot like the challah that I just made for Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, the yellow was definitely cranky. Oh, you did the tie-dye marble, but you didn't do the marbling? Fun. Yeah, I'm really excited to play with that. And I've also, the Easter kit came with this sort of powder marbling medium, but I was thinking about trying a non-dairy whipped cream to try that. It's a little hard to rinse out of the yarn, but I'm curious how the tulip kit, how that would do, and the other marbling mediums in general. So there is that. All right, I am going to, take a brief break. I'm going to send some of you to a commercial break right now. Not everyone might see it, but I'm going to take a brief break, take a drink of water, And some of you will hear me chatter as I wait to do the play add button. I sit here and wait, and I think there's about like a minute delay between what is live and what you guys see, which is why there's some of this chatter. All right, play the ad. Not everyone will see the ad, but I appreciate your patience. This is another way that I am able to keep doing what I do. This is looking so cool. All right, I'm definitely seeing some yellow. I'm glad that it's not just white. This is not very warm anymore, though. Interesting. I'm going to grab a photo. My grocery delivery now comes with water bottles, so take a few pictures. Oops, I'm getting like a strange reflection. That is still very pink and very orange. It's spreading a lot. Let me see if it says everybody is back. Add the other yellow. Yeah, okay, I think everybody is back now. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. Yeah, so looking closely at this, I definitely see some hints of yellow, and that's spread through. The orange is spreading a lot. The pink, not quite so much. I'm wondering how to best do this. Let's move these aside. Move the markers. I want to set up something so we can start to, yeah, the yarn has cooled. I want to try rinsing that off. Oh, well, I mean, I guess I could use, I like having the metal spoon around because sometimes then it can help you see how much color is left. Clearly, though, there's a lot of color in the pink and the orange left in the water. That is not a secret. I'm currently filling a non-food wash basin with water, and I want to make sure that you guys will be able to see me. Okay, let me change the tilt and stuff of the camera. You said you couldn't catch the beginning, but yeah, I'm glad you were able to join me live. The replay will be available on the channel. And depending on how this goes, oh, that is not what I wanted. Got distracted. Depending on how this goes, I might also have to do a Dye Pot Weekly episode on this. Okay, camera. Let's do the pan. There we go. Because I could move the roving, but I don't want to because by moving it, that could affect the way the colors are going. Okay, let's start. Okay, here's our pan. Hopefully, I'm like trying to not knock anything on the ground. Okay, here is these. I'm going to start with our wool ones, and I am going to pop these into. This is just tap water. I haven't added any soap or anything yet, but let's see. The yellow on here as well is really, really, really subtle. It was subtle when I first drew it on. I think it might not like the vinegar, but so far, just putting this in water, there's a little bit of like color in my pan itself, but it does not seem like, it seems like the color is in the fiber. Like it doesn't seem like it is going anywhere. I'm not seeing these colors lessen, especially on this superwash nylon one. Those colors are sharp, 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 sharp. That is beautiful. Okay. I am going to set these guys aside. So this is our in this mixture, we've got Peruvian Highland wool that's 100% wool. And on there, you can see the colors. Actually, let me squeeze this out first. I haven't tried soap yet. I always, if you're new to my live streams, I will always do a recap at the very, once the yarn and everything is dry so you can see. Okay, so here's the 100% wool, and hopefully you guys are in focus. I see a hint of the yellow. The other colors are bright. They're fairly spread out, which is partly probably from how I drew it. But in contrast, the sock yarn, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, the colors feel very, very like sharp and crisp from where I drew them onto the yarn. But that is a very nice and clear sort of speckle. And then the same thing with the 100% superwash yarn. This is something that I see a lot. In general, superwash yarns will absorb color faster and sharper than non-superwash. Okay, and with these ones, I'm going to do them a little separately. But let's look at the cotton before I put it in the water. I'm not seeing the yellow. These colors have actually spread a lot. The blue and the pink, and we picked up some blues on the other end, and let's see what happens this time. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but can you tell now? This color is not staying in the cotton. Whereas after running the other yarn through it, we still had bright, bright color. I'd have to see with soap if everything rinses out here. It looks like some of the pink and orange might stick around, but the blue, and I'm not seeing any hint of the yellow at all. I forget, this might have been the one that was hard to get the yellow on in the first place, but just from that water dip, almost all of the blue is gone with the cotton. So I have a feeling that with the acrylic, we might see something similar. Okay, so here's the acrylic. And again, I'm not really seeing the yellow right now, or the pink really, but I see the blue and the orange, and I'm just going to pop it in the same water. And this time, you see that blue coming off? The water is turning sort of, not a lot of color in the water, but looks like we might have a hint. And again, I'm going to need to try soap, because sometimes soap will get everything out. But the blues all came out. I see a hint of pink, maybe a hint of stain from the orange, but from just a quick wash, it does not seem to be staying well in the acrylic. The polyester has a hint of yellow there. I'm not seeing the pink, but I do see orange and blue right now. It's possible some of those other colors, and yep, it's coming out. It's possible some of those other colors sort of stuck to the cotton from how I had them together and transferred out, but okay, with just a quick dip into water, here is our polyester, and I see basically no color whatsoever. So let me now remove this bucket. Okay, that is our waste bucket, and bring out all of these yarns. So we've got our wool, and again, this isn't even a full-on wash. This is just a quick dip. But there's no question, there's definitely some yellow in the three wools. I think that that could be, I'll try to zoom in. I think that that could be hard to see, but yeah, there is no question. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Zoom. Then, okay. It's not the best because I am very much zoomed in here, but you can see we've got the wool, the sock yarn, and then the superwash wool, the cotton, the acrylic, which has still that hint of pink in it, and then the polyester. So all of these looked really, really similar after the initial hand paint, but the vinegar, the steaming, had these colors stick really, really well to the wools. And I think that what I've zoomed in right now is not doing justice to the vibrancy of these colors. It is fairly dramatic and really awesome. So I think that the drawing with the highlighters was sort of a pain. I think it would be a lot more fun to hand paint, to use sponge brushes or something to get these colors onto our yarn. And in fact, maybe we'll need to play around with that. We'll see. Well, let me zoom back out and get this back on the table. There we go. Sometimes it's like I need a bit of an assistant. But it is just me. All right, I'm gonna come and sit down and take a look at the comments. But first, this orange has spread out a lot. And I know that our yellow has crashed out. There's some cloudy gunk in here. There's definitely some yellow in there. I have no idea if this is enough heat. And now we're at the point where it's like the toss-up. Do I add more heat to this to help the color set? Or do I sort of just let it sit until it's completely room temperature and then take it out and wash it? I won't be able to wash it on the live stream because I want to make sure it's completely cool before I do that, and to see if like more of the color sucks in. But I'm in this like, decision that there's this decision that needs to be made. Let me see. So I could add the other yellow. I'm afraid that it would just crash out, which would be a bit of a bummer. I wonder, I wonder if I added it to the yarn and then added vinegar, or just used a lot less vinegar. I don't know. Let me see, I'm checking the chat. I wonder what dry erase markers would do. I actually have a bunch of like really old Sharpies as well that could be really fun to extract the dye from. I've done like Sharpies on t-shirts in the past, but then it's come out with washing. But I don't know if you were to heat set it, if it would stay. I did find accidentally that the Crayola washable markers will dye yarn. When I tie-dye t-shirts, I like to use the washable markers as sort of like if I'm doing a heart or a star as a way to like mark the fabric, and then it washes out. But if you apply heat and use it with yarn, it does not wash out. And I learned that the hard way. You missed some, but I think I've still got some dye that I've been extracting, so we might have to do some more stuff. All right, it's time to ask the audience. Do you think that I should go and move my roving to the stove and apply a bit more heat to it, or to see if we get all the color to absorb, or should I just leave it as is, but maybe place it off to the side so we have the counter space back? I guess those are the two options. Should I let it sit for a few hours before I try to wash it? Or should I apply more heat to give as much of the color a chance to bind as possible? I have not applied heat directly to this yet. I have only, I started with hot water in the pan, and that is it. Do you think you could hand paint by taking the inside of the highlighters out and painting with them? Yeah. I think that would work great. At some point from touching the yarn, it would start to wick up a bit. I think I want to hand paint some yarn. I am going to, well, I'm getting answers to the question. I am going to go off to the side, find some yarn. I believe I should have yarn down here. It is me. I don't use that one. What do I have on hand? I need to run upstairs. Oh, I have, oh no, that's not the blanket that I want to use. Alright, I'm gonna go grab some superwash yarn and I will be right back. Do I have any over there? No. It's all upstairs. All right, I'm coming back. I'm gonna go quickly soak. This is 100 grams of 100% superwash merino. This is Knit Pick Swish DK. One of my favorites. Takes up color beautifully, and actually it was one of the samples that we tested earlier, so we know that it takes dye really nicely. And I'm going to just soak this in the same water or vinegar solution that I had before. I think you could play around with this and try like having no vinegar in the yarn and then dipping it into a pot with vinegar. But I'm going to go for this and see what we get. What I don't know is if I have to run. I might need to run to the shed. Trying to think if I have my paint. I'm trying to decide on the technique that I want to do. I could use a squirt bottle. I could use the syringes. Yeah, I think I want to use the syringes. Okay, sorry guys, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to be right back to grab some more stuff. I'm back. We have a detached garage with a shed attached to the garage. And so, okay, I just ran out there. Ooh. And, all right, oh no, that did not put me, there we go. I was thinking about grabbing the syringes, but I decided I'm gonna use foam brushes. These are a little stained, as you can see, for various stuff, but with the back to school theme, using the foam craft brushes feels more back to school. So I decided that would be a bit easier. Okay, so I see heat. Is it unanimous? Oh wait, no, I do see one leave as is. The imbalance is driving you crazy. So I think that when spinning this, it could be spun in a way that it would not drive me crazy, that there is not like that yellow balance in there. I am curious to see if it'll something will come around with it, but you looked at the chromatography of drinks and inks, use filter paper and rubbing alcohol, the dot of Sharpie and the Kool-Aid on the filter. Oh, cool. That's a really cool science experiment. All right, I am going to heat it. All right, I'm going to make sure I take a picture of it first because things might move around as I move to the stove. Move you, move you, move you. Okay, here's the camera. Uh-oh. Oh, cool. It's like I had a notification. All right. Take a picture of this before I move it. I mean, the orange has definitely spread a lot. I do want to add some heat, but I think if you're going to follow the directions in the tutorial and ball up the fiber before putting it in, I think that you could get some pretty good coverage. Trying to move the liquid as little as possible. Okay, actually it looks pretty much the same, guys. Okay. I put the heat on medium, and I will keep, I'll give it a little timer to remind myself, but I'm going to keep a close eye on it. And yeah, I think that this is really fun. Okay. If you're just tuning in, we are about to dye some yarn. Oh, my pan is saying hello. We are about to dye some yarn. Oh, awesome. You're gonna pop on me? Yeah, I mean, it's heating up pretty quickly. How funny, the center has heated up way faster. Of course, I'm not wearing gloves and I stuck my hands just straight in. Normally, and I'm sorry you guys can't see the steam pan, but normally, I want the edges to heat up. Normally, I might show you guys, but I need to keep talking about how I need to get another thing. Put the heat on medium, but I realized that was only going to heat up the middle, and if I wanted the edges heat up, there we go. Should turn it up for a tiny bit. But all right, now I'm putting it back down low. Stuck on it. I'm gonna just wash my hands, so I stuck my fingers in there. The keys aren't even. All right, let's get ready to dye some yarn. I get a lot of stuff at the dollar store that I'm going to use. So we've got the orange. These are some of the colors that we extracted today. Okay. The pink and the orange have actually done a pretty good job as they've been sitting there. The orange, I actually squeezed dye through the end, some of the rubbing alcohol, I mean, through the end. And so I'm actually going to do that to the yellow because the yellow is the one that disappointed me. But when we steamed our wool yarns, there is definitely some of the highlighter yellow in there. But not so much in the, it seems like the wool content is necessary. Okay, let me I'm going to go to my gloves now. I really like the vinyl gloves that Paradise Fibers gave, but these are, if any of you are ever curious about the gloves that I like to use, I use these Kimberly-Clark purple nitrile gloves. And in part because I like purple, in part because these were my favorite gloves when I was working in a lab. Although I guess there were some lavender ones that were really thin and nice as well. All right. Let's extract a little more yellow. I'm going to add, so in extracting 6 markers, I've used almost all of this, but my plan is Just adding a bit in there so that I can use it to extract a little more of the yellow. My plan is to use these 3 colors to sort of paint the majority of the yarn. And then I'm going to take out the blue thingamadad, the dye capsule from the blue, and use that and add some speckles because I think that that would be fun. So that is my plan. Cool. All right, let's get some paper towels handy. All right. See, squeezing this out, see how like bright this is? And there's definitely nothing that has crashed out yet. But if you look on the paper towel, I mean, that is, maybe it's not showing up on the live stream as well. It is highlighter yellow. And adding some more rubbing alcohol. Get some more of this color out and squeezing out the liquid. I think it took about 1/3 of a cup. So this is going to make my yellow a little more dilute. Oh, that's my 5 minutes. But yeah, it's getting, squeezing the rubbing alcohol in. I'm getting yellow all over the counter, but it is clearing that up. Using my wrist to set another timer to check on the roving. Okay, let's try inserting it into this side this time. Okay, there's a little more color in there. You can see on one side, but a lot of the tube has come out. And actually, there's still some color in those other ones as well. So we've got some stuff to play with. But man, is this fluorescent? Yeah. I mean, the yellow, and I'm not going to mind if there's some on the counter that gets sort of stuck. It is almost glowing. It is so bright. Okay. Normally, I'm not going to fight to try to get, it's humid today. Normally, I reuse gloves a lot better, but I don't want to try to fight to get those back on. All right, I'm going to take our pre-soaked yarn, and off camera, you can hear me gently squeezing some yarn. If you want, squeezing some water out. You can also take a towel and sort of wind it up in that to squeeze some more of the liquid out. But let's bring it over onto the work surface. And what I have here, I've got just on my countertop, this is just a shower curtain. So, all right, and we're gonna get ready to start hand painting. If you're just tuning in, today we are dyeing yarn and roving with color extracted from Sharpie highlighters. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and this kit and these instructions were given to me by Paradise Fibers in their September Fiber of the Month Club box. You can find links to all of the relevant stuff in the video description. And then you let my hands dry before I put on gloves again. Let's see. Oh, 9 months old. Yeah, that's so sweet. My eldest is about to turn 5, and then in a couple months my youngest will be 3, and I am not sure where time has gone at all. But so I'm not sure if you probably can't tell, but when I look at the cup of the yellow highlighter solution. It almost looks like the top of it is glowing. And I don't know if that's a film or just an artifact of the light coming through or what, but let's soak some of that up and paint it on. And it's definitely, okay, it's disappearing. Can you guys did you guys see that? I'm gonna do it again. Ready? See the yellow? Watch it disappear. It's the vinegar. It's the acids. It does not like the acid. Whereas if I were to take, okay, here's some paper towel. Okay, let me tap the paper towel and then tap the yarn and go over where I added some already. You guys see that difference? Oh, maybe not. Okay, I assure you that what is on my hand is neon yellow. And now it's on the cloth. This is the color of the highlighter, which the color is, yeah. But in the yarn, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. So that is intriguing. I'm going to leave the yellow aside. Maybe we'll try doing some, I think I've got some 100% wool. Maybe we'll try playing with that with no vinegar and see what we can do. But just want to remove some of the liquid. But yeah, that was a disappearing ink if I ever saw one. Huh. Okay, I'm really, really glad that we're doing this. Now, let's try contrast. Here's our orange. That actually is going through. It's not going all the way through it, but it's reasonable penetration. Checking on Roving. We're like warm, but not too hot. That's great. Yeah, I mean, this is cool. It's always fun to learn something new. Yeah, the acid does not like the yellow. And let's, like, on that same spot, if I add the orange, like, we're totally fine. So I think I'm going to do, yeah, we're going to add some bits of blue on this in a minute. We'll try doing some dots from just the capsule, but that is cool. Did any of you try this kit already? If you have, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear if you had the same yellow issues that I had. Let me know in the chat, in the comments, if you're watching the replay. But I love, love, love using foam brushes. So what's funny is there's nothing there. This area where I'd done the yellow and then removed it, the orange feels less bright. It feels a lot more muted. So take that as you will. But otherwise, this is going on the fiber really easily. And then here's the pink. Pretty. I've never really used like rubbing alcohol for any of my dyeing projects before. But in a moment, we will flip this over and see. But when I did the little test just drawing with the highlighters onto the same yarn blend, that stayed behind really nicely through steaming. So, and I'm doing this pretty messily, but also just to show just how easy it is to use these foam brushes to apply dye to your yarn. Yeah, same thing here. It is less, I don't know if that's showing up on camera, even in this one section, there's a difference between right here and right there. And it's like where the yellow was and was not. I might run out of the pink. We'll see how much is needed on the other side for good color penetration. I've got a lot more of the orange, so we'll see. Okay. This is just one side. And I gotta take a picture. Gotta clean up a little bit. I don't know where my phone went. This is when I start singing to myself. The gloves, I mean, this is just rubbing alcohol and highlighters. So I'm not mega concerned about getting it on my hands. It's more, it's not that I'm mega concerned about getting the color on my hand or like it being damaging or something. Oh, like getting some weird glares. But I am more just concerned with, yeah, just staining myself. So. Sorry, guys. I want to get a picture before I flip it because it might not look quite. There we go. The glare, there we go. There we go. Well, that's not the good spot. It's like you're getting a little behind the scenes sneak peek of how I like do all my Instagram pictures and stuff. Take more pictures than you think you might need. Okay. Let's see. Could it come back to life when the vinegar is washed out? Likely not. Oh, I'm seeing some good comments. Let me go up and look. You over-dyed a yellow tonal with tea and it bled yellow. I've over-dyed like highlighter yellow yarn before. Some yarns bleed when it's hot. Now you're curious about using vinegar on paper with yellow highlighter to see if it would remove the highlighter from the paper. Maybe we could actually do that. There might still be some, or actually, okay, so here we've got the yellow paper towel. Okay. We're going to do just that right now. It's not quite paper. Okay, here's some water with vinegar. Here's some water with vinegar. Here is some of the yellow on the paper towel, and I'm going to dip it in. It's magic. Disappeared. It totally disappeared. Let me dip the whole thing in. Yep. The yellow is completely gone. Squeeze it out, but the orange and pink are still here. Now, whether that would work on paper as well, I do not know. But anyway. Oh no, I lost some of the comments. It must be the ingredient in the yellow that makes it fluorescent. Wonder how it would do with citric acid. Wonder what the other colors would do without vinegar. All right, I'm going to flip this. And so the dye penetration is actually pretty reasonable. And I think, let's see. Okay, if I'm squishing it, the water looks clearish. So I'm taking that to mean that it actually is sticking pretty quickly. Actually, we should also sort of know that from the way that it spread or didn't spread. I don't have a ton of the pink left, so I'm trying. Might need to like compensate with some more orange. Oh no. I ran out. Well, this is just going to make this yarn absolutely unique. I'm like, you can see me thinking in my head what I want to do. Because yeah, if I squeeze this right now, that water that's coming off, these other colors are sticking really fast. Although actually, if I squeeze the orange, interesting. This actually goes along with what we were seeing in the roving. This pink, whatever the pink molecule is sticking immediately, lickety split. The orange might need a little more heat. And so if we look at our roving, the pink wasn't spreading anywhere near as much as the orange. And so I think that's probably why I was able to use a lot less of the pink a lot less of the orange, because it was spreading out more. And so that's why maybe on the first side I used a lot more pink. So this is going to be what I would call an asymmetric skein of yarn, because the colors are not going to be even throughout. Ooh, I like when the pink and the orange overlap a bit. I want to cover up the white, so I'm just going for it with some of this orange. I'm going to have to cake this yarn to see what it would do. It's not necessarily going to be a gradient because I'm not sure if there's a twist in here, but it's going to be fun, a fun highlighter-y yarn. Okay. We now have this base. Funny, I can't even get pink from that. We have this beautiful base. Come on. That is mostly orange with a little bit of pink. I'm really intrigued. Reds don't always strike first. It depends a lot on what there is. But we're going to add some blue. And so spraying this out, you can see that there is going to be some whites around, especially in those pink sections. This is cool. You guys, I love learning so much about something. Okay. I have not taken the end off of the blue yet. Oh dear. Here is my blue dye capsule. And we are going to take it and go boom and add some blue splotches, speckles. And you can see, okay, I'm going to come up closer. You can see how the end is already now white. What I don't know is if I squeeze it, we can get more of that blue coming out. This is fun. Yeah, because unlike when I've done other markers before, the ability to squeeze this and get more dye is clutch. Because when I'm using the tip of a marker, you don't get the more dye because it's just, you need to wait for gravity to let it wick through. But a little bit of pressure and then the dabbing, and I'm getting these speckles. This is fun. Is there an ingredient list for each of these markers? Maybe online. And someone said, okay, I kind of wish that I had just done this. This is nice and wet now. I sort of wish that I had done it this way with all of them, but I'd already extracted the color. This is really fun, and I like that I'm getting these circles. I'm definitely going to need to play with this again, and I think that we're going to need to try Sharpies too. I wish I had a black light. If I did, then I would totally show you guys. just try that out. But yeah, this is working amazingly, amazingly well. All right, I don't want to overdo it, but how cool is that? That is super, super cool. Okay. All right, I'm going to take off one glove so that way I can easily take the picture. If I find my friend, by friend I mean my phone. Sometimes in the recap I will insert some of these pictures, and then we're going to do something with the yellow, but I'm going to go and place this in the steamer basket, which is not currently hot. And I'm going to go ahead and let that steam for 30 minutes. The Roving has been heating for a while. It is nice and hot with all 3 colors. I'm turning off the heat on the Roving right now. When the pan cools off a bit, I will bring it back over. But I feel like we're learning a lot today. And this is why I love doing these live streams, because I really enjoy sort of last minute or just sort of being able to change direction midstream. I do this in some of my pre-filmed videos sometimes as well, but it's just a lot of fun. Okay, let me come, before I go and get more yarn, and we've still got our bright yellow friend. We're going to do something with it. I'm not going to leave it behind. Ooh. I had okay, you guys, I had a pillow that I've been sitting on when I come down on the floor to do like my little talking heads. But clearly if it's in my hand, I didn't sit on it. So I just went, oof, not on the pillow. Okay. I'm so glad you're all joining me today. I have a blast. So let's see, there was some chat, and if I miss your question, please just drop it in the chat again. There's only one of me here right now, so yeah, there might be an ingredient list online for the markers, but whatever is in that yellow, and to be honest, I was really most excited about that yellow. Whatever's in that yellow did not like the acid. I had already checked the package and it wasn't on there. Oh, you posted instructions for turning your phone flash into a black light above in the chat. Let me go look. I'm scanning quickly. Sorry, I can't find it. Yeah, you have to do your first yarn dyeing today. Yay! I think that the absolute easiest thing to get started is to find some wool-based yarn, some Kool-Aid or some food coloring, and just have some fun. Foam brushes are a really great way to easily apply and play with the color. My very first dyeing projects were actually with a 20% wool, 80% acrylic blend, and I got some Kool-Aid packets because I had a lot of it in this off-white, and I wanted some other colors, and the rest is history, and here we are today. Ooh, the black light idea kind of works. Yeah, I'm gonna. I'll have to go back and look for that. All right, I'm gonna get some yarn, and I can make my little head go away. But I guess while I am running off for yarn, I'm gonna send you guys for a brief commercial break. But hang tight because we're gonna see if we can do something with this yellow. So I will be right back in a moment. And then I actually have to wait. And so if you don't see an ad, don't worry. Clear tape colored blue with a Sharpie, and then clear tape colored with purple to make the black light. Okay, I'll have to try that at another time. Should also drink some water while I'm waiting for my head to go away. Wow, there really is a big delay today. Okay, now I can press the play add button. Thank you guys for hanging out for this. It helps support everything that I do. All right, I have, how do I have? All right. I think everyone is back now. And again, I don't have my pillow underneath, but that's okay. I'm gonna try adding additional blue tape. Yeah, okay, so if you were on commercial break, what you might have missed is that it seems like that if you take clear tape and color it with a blue Sharpie, and then take another piece of clear tape and color it with a purple Sharpie, layer them, sort of put them over your flash, you can make like a little black light. So that sounds super cool, but I will have to try that after. All right, so I just grabbed some Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn. This is a 50-gram skein that I had wound. This is 100% Peruvian highland wool. This is dry. It has not been pre-soaked. It has no acid. And we are going to try like just putting this in with the yellow from above. Welcome! I'm so glad that there's so many people from all over the world that can join me today and in these live streams. I know that daytime streams can be really hard for people who work traditional hours in the US, but my streams typically have to be while my children are at school because I have decent light and I don't have constant interruptions. So, but if you guys are enjoying this live stream and are enjoying hanging out with me, please subscribe to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel and give the video a like. All of that really, really helps my business. Let's see. All right, I'm just sort of wiping off. This is a shower curtain. And if you're just tuning in, today we are playing with Sharpie highlighters and wool and wool yarn. And we've done, okay, that's so cool. I really enjoy some of these like completely random colorways. Where did I put, here's my box of clothes. Because we've done some 4 ounces of Cheviot Roving from Paradise Fibers that was in their September Fiber of the Month Club kit. And they actually get credit for this tutorial and idea. I didn't come up with this. The highlighters showed up and I went and bought some more highlighters so I could do a few more projects with it. I have 100 grams of superwash merino that I dyed with some of the extracted color in my steamer basket right now. But what we've discovered, oh no. What? Oh no, contamination. So, all right, this is highlighter with alcohol. It's definitely pulled something out that was in the brush, the rubbing alcohol. So this is not a pure sample anymore. Whoops. Yeah, you see that there's something. Okay, but this is dry yarn right now. And I am just painting this highlighter onto it. And I find this yarn to be fairly absorbent actually. So this might work reasonably well. But right now, do you notice, and I don't think you can tell on camera or really appreciate just how fluorescent it is. I do not have any acid in here or in here right now. This is, acid-free at the moment. But I have found, and we've seen this a couple times, that adding this yellow dye to acid just makes the yellow disappear. We did this on a paper towel. We saw this on the yarns and, a few times. And so at first I thought that my brain was playing tricks on me when I was trying to do the yellow highlighter and draw directly onto the yarn. But it's sensitive. Whatever is in the yellow is completely sensitive to acid. So what I don't know is we've got a couple choices here. we could take this yarn and dip it into some warm water with acid, or I could steam it as is and see if any of this will stick. So I think that those are the two ways we can proceed. I would love to hear what you think. I'm a little bummed that something from my brush was sticking behind, but I might add some blue dots to this as well, just to have two colors to explore. But yeah, we've now definitely got a yellow, yellow, yellow yarn. And before, I could not figure out what happened. All right. We've got our yellow, yellow, yellow. Now I'm going to pull off. I'm going to have two areas, and we've got this blue. Oh. What's funny is that it is not really, because the yarn is dry, so it is not really, here we go, wanting to stick. I'm going to just do two regions with this blue, give us a second yellow color to sort of compare to. Got the blue all over my hands now, though. Actually getting reasonable color penetration. Whoop. Let's try going this side now. I like the blue and the bits of green that are coming through. Okay. That's good, and this is now going to sit, and I am a complete mess. I still have 19 minutes on my steamer basket. I think I want to just steam this without adding acid and see what happens. It might all wash out. It might not, but that's one reason why I've started with a 50-gram skein. And so here, let me get some more yellow onto this paper towel so I can do that demo again. Okay. There's a lot of yellow on here. I'm not sure. Okay, but you can definitely see that there's some yellow on it. I'm going to take this and dip it. This is water with vinegar. And when I dip it in, the yellow disappears. So the blues and the pinks and the oranges stick around. That yellow just disappears. So it is super, super, super strange. Yeah, I am just perplexed. And you can see, I mean, this yellow is still here, but it's definitely like coming off. Like if I touch it, it's yellow on my hands. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the frothiness. Let me get another paper towel. The yellow is definitely on my hands. Whereas like the pink and the orange struck really, really fast. So I'm going to turn down this heat on the steamer pot. I have a second steamer pot, I just haven't set it up yet. So I'm going to come and see if you guys have any questions. But if I am finishing this one up on my own versus doing the rest live, because if there's not enough questions or something to keep us going for the dye pot to finish up steaming, I will then steam this one, I think, for 30 minutes off camera. And then I'll film myself washing it, so that way we can see all the color come out or the colors stay behind. And I'll put that all into the summary recap that I do from this live stream. And depending on the technique, sometimes in the recap I insert pictures of the in progress shots as we go. But I always show the finished dried yarns, and the resolution is usually a bit better from me filming versus streaming, so that way you guys can see what the final yarns look like. Maybe try citric acid. Well, let's see. Is it just you, or is the yellow looking green? The yellow has like a hint of green on the fluorescent tinge, but where I added, it's definitely looking very yellow, except for where I added the blue, and that's green. Yeah, so I agree. I think so. There's a chance that an order of operations thing could make a difference. It's possible that the yellow will start to bind to the yarn, and then if you add a little bit of vinegar after, it won't necessarily go poof. Or that maybe there was too much vinegar in there before, and starting with a little less could be okay. But yeah, we'll have to see. Like I know that, for example, when I use Wilton's Violet food coloring, if I add it to acid too soon, we'll start to see and heat, we'll start to see some of the reds crash out, and so you'll get a film on the top of your dye pot. However, if you add the dye or the vinegar immediately before you start add the yarn, there's just enough time for some of those reds to bind to the yarn instead of becoming insoluble. So that is one reason why the order could be important. I think that right now, if I were to dab vinegar on with no heat right now, it would just disappear. I would do that, except we basically just did the opposite when I was trying to dab this yellow solution on the yarn that had been pre-soaked in vinegar. So citric acid could work. Ultimately, it is likely an artifact of the pH versus it being acetic acid or citric acid. The co-ion isn't likely making a huge difference. It's possible, but it's likely the bigger difference is the actual pH is my hypothesis that's causing the issue. That's causing the issue. And so from the way it looks, I mean, who knows if it's clumping with itself? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I mean, it also could be the concentration. Maybe I needed less vinegar. So I had pre-soaked with a big hearty splash. Maybe I needed like a tiny splash. I do not know. You wonder if you could add some salt to the water with vinegar and change the reaction of the yellow. Yeah, salt isn't something that I've played around with a ton yet. And it definitely, I know sometimes it can help slow absorption, so it can help you get, work as a leveling agent to help you get a more even color. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that we could dry. Your brain is going, you wonder if the yellow will keep other colors from binding. I doubt that. I suppose it's possible, but there's so many, I don't think that the yellow is functioning as like an inhibitor, especially since the interactions between the dye and the protein fibers aren't necessarily super specific. But that is definitely an interesting thought. Would adding baking soda do any good? So baking soda is basic. And if we're basically, with the dyeing we're doing today, we're using a technique like we would for acid dyes. And though you need the acidic conditions, so that way you can, having the acidic conditions will allow you to get the interaction between the dye and the protein. And if you were to put it in basic conditions, it wouldn't necessarily work. I don't know if you've watched any of my Easter egg dye tablet videos, where these Easter egg tablets have sodium bicarbonate in them, which is basic, and so it raises the pH, and then the colors don't bind quickly. But if I compensate by adding a whole cup of vinegar, which is a lot of vinegar, then the colors will start to strike faster. So, yeah. The yellow after the vinegar reminds me of old highlighter. But the yellow after the vinegar, like, there's very little yellow, period. Yeah, old highlighter has that less fluorescent appeal, but there's still like a depth of yellow in the old highlighter. So I'm not sure. One thing you've seen, once the tip of the ink cartridge is white, blow into it, that gets most of the dye out. I would not want to put my mouth on one of the dye cartridges, but just with like shaking and tapping, some more stuff was coming out. I think that you could use the squeeze bottle and add more liquid. I wanted to know how to open up a Sharpie because I'm curious about trying Sharpies at some point with this technique. And I saw someone, like a tutorial, someone like rejuvenating a Sharpie by adding some, basically rubbing alcohol into the dye tube. And that worked great. Yeah, no, there's all like kinds of things to think of. I mean, like everything we're playing with is non-toxic, so you could totally play around with it without gloves. Because if you're using like a highlighter without gloves and get it on yourself kind of thing, but you're dealing with a lot more of the dye, and so it's prudent. It's always prudent to wear gloves, and also adding, yeah. I'm not sure of the molecules that are in each of the markers. I know that it's because to get fluorescent colors in different shades, they are different molecules. But yeah, I do not know. I'm going to go peek at the... I want to bring the Roving down so you guys can see it, but okay, there's 9 minutes left in here. It's looking nice. Interesting. I'm really intrigued. I really want to bring that back, but I want to clean the surface first. I know. I really want to show you guys that again. So I think 10 more minutes, and then I'll be able to bring that down. Huh. Oh, cool. I like having you guys in the chat to Google things. Sometimes I try while I'm streaming, but if I do, that usually like makes my connection go haywire. But yeah, if you're just tuning in, we have been dyeing yarn and fiber with highlighters, and we found that we get some pretty cool colors from the orange, the pink, and the blue. But the yellow, even though we can extract a really beautiful fluorescent yellow, it is pH sensitive, and when we add vinegar to it, it disappears. Yes, you're right. Like using crayons for makeup is not the way it's intended. And so using it differently from the way it's intended would make it, yeah, not non-toxic. You're right. It's always prudent when dealing with anything, even food coloring, to wear gloves, just, you know, especially if you're using a lot of it, but like sometimes I'll end up with like purple hands from when I forget, but coming late. Oh yes, I hope everybody in the Carolinas and I hope you guys are all like prepped, evacuated, and ready for the storm. I'm, having lots of good thoughts out there for all of you. So I hope that you guys are all safe. And if you've been told to evacuate, please, please, please evacuate. Yeah, so what we're doing today is we're dyeing yarn and roving with highlighters. This was the tutorial that came with the Paradise Fibers Fiber of the Month Club this month. They sent me some highlighters. I bought some more so I would have plenty to play around with. And we're seeing what can happen. Trying the Crayola airbrush with dyeing yarn. Yeah, it's funny, I had looked into the Crayola airbrush at one point because I was wondering if I could like refill it with food coloring as like a cheap airbrush. You can get Baker's airbrushes for not that expensive, but yeah, I was curious if there was like a toy airbrush that I could use to play around with food coloring, but I'm not sure if they're refillable. Yeah, well, so pH sensitive can refer to many, many different outcomes. Something can be pH sensitive in terms of solubility. It can be pH sensitive in terms of the compound itself just breaking down but still remaining soluble. So like we could see, here we know something's crashing out. So yeah, but pH sensitive could also be for base. So yeah, it definitely could be that. It could be fluorescein that's in there, but I honestly don't know. Yeah, I know that the Crayola airbrush comes with some kind of markers. I just didn't know if it was something that I could refill after using them. But clearly, we're going to need to do a markers series coming up because this has been an absolute blast. I'm not sure of some questions that I always get about light fastness and wash fastness. I'm assuming that this is relatively light fast, which might not be a great assumption, but part of the reason for that assumption is that, you know, poster boards and whatnot that are out for a long period of time. Wash fast, time will tell how long that lasts. So, yeah, let me go check the timer and how we're doing. 5 more minutes. Okay. I know, I need more, like, stuff, but it's pretty cool how with just a little rubbing alcohol you can extract all the dye from one of these tubes. I wonder what the porous stuff is inside, if it's just like a foam or what. Now I'm going to start like adding all these into a cup. I would pop everything directly into my sink, but I have some dishes to do before I can do a full-on prep, or like, you know, before I can really start cleaning all of this up. But yeah, popping the ends out of these things was a lot easier than I thought. You just sort of grip the end and give it a good tug. I thought that I was going to struggle with it, especially because I have been wearing a wrist brace a lot lately. And no, I didn't fall again, but I did wake up with wrist pains. I think I slept funny. It's like I break my foot by stubbing my toe on a wall in my home, and then I like injure my wrist by sleeping. I am just a riot. Oh, for $10. Wow. An airbrush for $10. That would be really nice. Actually, okay, so it's now noon here. I should be getting a really, it might be a little more exciting for me than for all of you, but I ordered a piece of equipment, which won't make an appearance in many videos, but I might make a video about it just on its own. But I have to be here to like sign for the delivery, so I am. Is that a FedEx truck? Okay, now I need to go look. I was like, I'm saying this, and I'm like, did the truck just like pull up? Okay, maybe not. I got all excited, but I'm a little nervous because I want it to show up, so I have to sign for the delivery. And I think the delivery window ends 10 minutes after I have to leave to go pick up Lucas from school. So it's like, guys, my fingers are crossed so hard that this shows up. And well, if it shows up before the stream is done, then I'll tell you about it. Oh goodness. So for the oven, I haven't done a ton of oven dyeing, but if you are a ChemKnits patron, then you might have seen me do some oven dyeing recently. And actually, I need to edit the after I'm done with the stream, I'm going to edit the early access video for September for the ChemKnits patrons, and then I will be making the other video public. So that would be coming out soon, and I can't remember off the top of my head what temperature I used. But maybe somewhere around 250, 200 to 2, somewhere between 200 and 250. I kept the heat pretty low, and a long time in there. But In general, it is not necessarily my favorite, but it is an option. And I think for silks or something that you don't want to necessarily get too hot, it can be a really nice alternative. But I think that, you know, it depends on the type of dye and everything else that you're using. So with food coloring, that might strike pretty quickly. Maybe you don't need quite as long, but for something else than a different fiber type, you might need hours. I think that it really depends. Turn marker to airbrush, the Crayola airbrush. Yeah, that looked cool. But I really, well, we'll see. There's like a big, there's a big Michael's sale today with lots of coupons and stuff. I got an email about that. So it uses just regular Crayola markers. Ah, interesting. I really wanted something that I could convert to like a, food coloring spray, because I like the Color Mist spray cans. Those are really expensive. They're like $4, $4 to $5 each. And you can get them on discounts, but you know, if there was a tool for like $20 that I could get to like do it myself, then that might be more beneficial. Yeah, but I think my favorite heating method is just steaming, like I am doing right now. Okay, here are, oh no, I don't have enough spots to put things. Okay, we're relatively clean over here. Everything I'm using today is dedicated dye equipment. I'm pulling out our superwash speckly yarn. Let me show you guys, but it's super hot, so I want to set it on a trivet. Woo! And it smells like rubbing alcohol. Okay, and I'm not wearing gloves right now, so I'm just going to pick up this yarn, go and place it in my steamer basket, and make sure there's still plenty of water in here. Yes, still plenty of water in there. And I'm going to let that go for 30 minutes. Did I don't know if I took a picture of it. If I didn't, then I'm a little bummed. I did not take a picture of it. Take a picture of it in the steamer basket. It does not look super neon on the camera, but it definitely looks like fluorescent highlighter yellow to me right now. But unlike the other one, this has created much more of a mess on the work surface. But I want to clean this up, and then I can bring the roving back over. No picture. I love that you remembered for me. Cool. I sort of really like blue and orange. Oh, funny. Ooh, look at how green that is. That's pretty. So I wonder, actually, I didn't get a kit with like a green marker. I wonder if green is a combination of the yellow and blue, and whether if you're going to take the green marker and dip it in acid, would you get just blue? Like, would the yellow disappear? Or are green highlighters their own thing? There we go. Nothing that a handy, what is this, a Lysol wipe or Clorox wipe or something can't fix. And so then I just fold up the shower curtain and use it over and over. So it keeps my counter clean and is really nice. All right. I'm going to, oh, I have extra little trivets. So carefully moving this over. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm going to move this forward. Oh, this is cooled off completely. I don't need trivets. That is funny. I think most of the orange has actually bound. Yeah, so the orange is looking paler to me. The yellow, you can still see, since I picked it up, some of the cloudiness is gone. But I am really interested to pick this up, but I'm not. Okay, the water is cool. The fiber is not. So I do not want to pick up and manipulate that right now. I don't want to risk felting it. And I found that the place where you are in the most danger of injuring your hand-dyed roving is in the washing step. So just as a little aside, but here is one of the yarns that we dyed. And yeah, this is a lot of fun. So there's not no yellow. It is buttery, but there's nothing compared to the orange and the pink. And in the past, someone said, oh, is the orange breaking? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not entirely sure at this point. It looks like sort of a gradient of color where we have a lot more saturated orange near the middle and less saturated towards the outside. It does not look like it has broken. It looks on camera like it has broken. It doesn't really look like that in person, unfortunately. I use some acid and it'll clean right up. Well, but it's all, that's true. But this wasn't acidic. This was whatever, it's not bleach, but whatever in the wipe, because we saw the color on the wipe. But yeah, otherwise, I guess if you get yellow highlighter on something and want to take it out, just add some vinegar and you'll be set. Oh goodness. But anyway, I'm gonna let that last highlighter yarn go for 30 minutes, and I'm gonna make sure to film the washing of all of these yarns. I know it's not necessarily the most exciting thing to see, but I think that it does help to show how well how good of a job something has done to dye yarn when you add it to the water, like we did with just those mini skeins earlier. Because you could see like, oh, that color disappeared from that polyester. Like none of it stuck around. Whereas with the wools, the color did stick around and it did stay. And so it's just really, really cool. Hey, yarn to dye for, just tried that question I posed. I was curious from wiping up the mixture and seeing the green, if a green highlighter was a mixture of yellow and blue. And so maybe if you were to take the green and dip it in acid, if the yellow would disappear, leaving behind the blue. Yarn to Dye For just tried that out for us and said that the yellow from the green just disappears. So voila, we made a discovery about some colors in one of our highlighters. But it definitely looks like orange is its own thing and is not a combination of yellow and pink, because that orange is staying behind. I love you guys. I love that, like, I pose a question and you guys are either Googling it or looking in your own home to try it yourself. And this, like, hats off to all of you. Thank you this is why I love doing these things live. I love being able to get real-time feedback and information from all of you. And plus you can see like just how long or how much waiting there is in one of my dyeing projects. So I think that is a lot of fun. I've given the spiel a couple times, but if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. and subscribe to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel. I do for live streams. I do unboxing, sometimes yarn dyeing, occasionally spinning, sometimes just chats, and it's a really great time to ask me questions and interact with me in real time. I do read the comments on all of my videos, so if you're watching the replay and you have a question, leave a comment and I'll do my best to get to it. If you find I can't always easily find replies to other comments, so if you had a question hidden in a thread that I didn't see, feel free to leave a separate comment. But I'm also on Facebook, which is a really easy way to reach out, or if you private message me on Ravelry, I'm ChemKnits blog on Ravelry. If you private message me there, that goes to my email, so I will always see it. But I check Facebook stuff a lot. And yeah, there is a Facebook group for ChemKnits fans called ChemKnits Lab. And if you request to join, just make sure you add something like, say, yarn in what you're interested in, what fiber arts you're interested in. Because I just need you to, if people don't answer the questions for joining the group, then I can't add you. I get a lot of people who are looking for like chemistry groups to join, who request to join ChemKnits Lab. So I'm just trying to make sure that the people who want to join have an interest in yarn, knitting, spinning, dyeing, any of those things. Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that this roving that I'm dyeing right here will be part of a spinning stream at some point. I haven't done a spinning live stream in a while, but those are a really good time to ask me questions because it's just relaxing. And yeah, and if you want to make sure you don't miss a live stream, you can actually turn on notifications. And then YouTube will give you, like, I guess, some kind of push notification when I do start a stream. Because sometimes I schedule them in advance and then you can see it on the channel page. Other times it'll be a little more spontaneous when I start a stream. But if you're already a super fan, you can become a ChemKnits patron. I've talked about it earlier, but there's a link to the Patreon in the video description. If you follow that, you can learn more about becoming an official patron. I also have sponsorship slots available, so you can sponsor an episode of Dye Pot Weekly directly, and then you can get one of the skeins of yarn that I dye in the video and shout outs in that video. You can find that information about that in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy store. And yeah, but also in my Etsy shop, there's a lot of hand-dyed yarn that has been featured in my videos. And all the listings, it'll say what video it was dyed in. And actually, it's a good way to get some sneak peeks of what's coming up on the channel, because sometimes yarn ends up in the shop before the video has been published. So that is a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm hoping to do a spinning one soon. I have a standalone spinning video that I need to film, and hopefully on Friday. But I'm also working on dyeing all the yarn for the ChemKnits Hanukkah sampler. That's another thing. There's still a few pre-order slots left. This Hanukkah, every night I'm going to release a new dyeing video with 8 different yarn bases, 8 different dyeing techniques, and if people who pre-order the sampler will get mini skeins of all the yarn that I dye, so you can unwrap as you watch the video. And I thought that would be really fun. But everyone can enjoy the videos. It's my holiday gift to all of you. And so that is a little like spiel of everything going on. But anyway, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits. I think that the recap, probably early mid next week. It'll take some time for the roving to dry. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video and hanging out with me for this live stream. And I'd like to give a big thank you to Paradise Fibers for sending me this tutorial in their Fiber of the Month club. You can find more information about that in the video description and with my affiliate link. And yeah, I love the subscription. It really is, and this really is my own feelings about it, that it feels like someone made like a gift package for me, and I just am blown away each time I open one up. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining me, and I will catch all of you soon, hopefully. And yeah, and now is when maybe I should make my head disappear. There's a bit of a lag, so I never know when to add the exactly end the string so I don't cut myself off. But I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and thank you for watching. And now I'm going to wait for my little head to disappear before I stop it. So you might be hearing this or not. It's a little unclear. But and I'm going to drop the Fiber of the Month Club thing into the chat one more time.